So, this is a Pokemon game tier list. So let's go through some opinions real quick. For one, the opinion no one's gonna like. I do think I'm putting the first generation of games in E tier. The only thing the first generation of Pokemon games are good for at this point are nostalgia. They're borderline unplayable, and like they they just weren't particularly well designed. I'm so happy that they were made so that we could all be here playing Pokemon. I don't think they deserve to be any higher than E tier. I'm not putting them in F tier because they did establish kind of Pokemon, and that's better. That's good. Um, Pokemon Yellow, one tier up because it fixed a lot of technical issues that the first games had. I'm still not putting it much higher. It does at least get to go in D tier. And I do like that you get to like catch all three of the starter Pokemon. I'll have to see how I feel about. Yeah, we'll continue the list. All right. So Silver and Gold are also gonna go in D tier. Once again, still early enough that they're not particularly well designed, but you know what? We're gonna put Silver and Gold in D tier, and we're gonna put Crystal in C tier. I think that Crystal, once again, they tend to, once they get to like the second version of the game, I feel like they solidify what they're supposed to be doing with them. I think Ruby and Sapphire, I think I'm comfortable putting in B tier. Or you know what? We're gonna put them in C tier as well. I think that they are really solid games. Once again, still before the physical special split. Fire Red, Leaf Green. It is the first generation of games, but they fixed everything. Emerald version, once again, definitive version of that generation. I think we can put up. Actually, I think we'll also put up Fire Red and Leaf Green up here. If you want to play the first generation, Fire Red and Leaf Green is pretty much the best way to play it. I've never played Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pokemon Pikachu, but like those are a different game. That's a whole different thing. The original the original Pearl and Diamond. Ugh. I think we're gonna put them in C, but that's only because Platinum is going in at least A tier. It might go into S tier. We're gonna hold off on S tier for a minute. This is unbelievable. This is so God, Platinum truly. We're putting Platinum in S tier for now. I feel pretty confident in that. Diamond and Platinum, yeah, Diamond and Pearl, I think are allowed to go. Do they go in D tier? We'll continue to sort as we have a bigger list. I think it will be easier to decide where things go. Heart Gold and Soul Silver, the definitive way to play Generation 2. I think this is an A tier experience. I remember really liking Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Black and White. I think Black and White I'm gonna put in A tier, and I think Black and White 2 is where I'm gonna put into S tier. I think that was a pretty S tier Pokemon experience. I might have to spread these out and move them a little lower in some cases. Pokemon X and Y, in hindsight, kind of a D tier experience. I think it was really cool. The megas that they added, I think it's a really cool experience. In hindsight, really, really easy game. Like they could have done a lot more to like make megas feel more included in the plot. And that's kind of like I appreciate in ZA, mega Pokemon are super relevant for like the whole story. You're constantly fighting them, you're constantly using them. I think it's much better. Just for adding clothes and barbershops. X and Y are the best in terms of like I'm so glad they added customization. And I'm glad that ZA leaned in to give us that customization back. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. This is definitively an A tier experience. I really like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Maybe I'm biased. I like Gen 3, and I like Gen 3 out when you finally have the physical special split. And I am a sucker for Mega Evolution. What can I say? What can I say? Alola, I think, is fine. Alola can go in C tier. That's Sun and Moon. And then I think, honestly, both Sun and Moon and Omega Sun and whatever Moon, or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they can both go in C tier. Now we're getting to modern Pokemon, where people have a lot of strong opinions on things. And I think Sword and Shields. I think Sword and Shield is an A tier experience. I think I think Leon's a good champion. I think the world of Galar, I enjoy. I think a lot of the characters I like in the Galar area. I think that your rival in Sword and Shield is the actualization of what they wanted your rival to be in Alola. So I'm gonna go with A tier. Also, I think genuinely story, like I think they actually like did a lot of time, a lot in like building lore and story into Gen 8, and I think that it really pays off. I really like Sword and Shield, I won't lie. I didn't like Leon as much, but I think the gyms were some of the best in the series, and the mix of big Safari Zone and more traditional routes was really good. Yeah, I like that you do get some normal routes, but also you have the wild zones. Uh, you're not gonna love my opinions. 1 second. So let's get to these side things first. Uh, brilliant brilliant pearl and or shining pearl, brilliant platinum, or brilliant diamond. I Part of me wants to say no. I can't put it lower than the original, but I am still putting it in C tier because tell me that they didn't release the upgrades. They're just regular DP. They changed nothing basically. So that's what I'm about to say. Platinum did so much to upgrade the diamond and pearl like situation. They included a bunch of extra of good Pokemon into the main decks. Like they expand on the story. So tell me why that when they did the remakes, they made them kind of a shot for shot remake of like the original Diamond and Pearl without any of the upgrades that Platinum gave us. So yeah, I do hold it against them that they could have made it better. They had just done Platinum again instead of 1-to-1. Instead, it would just been so much better. Yep, you're so correct. You're so right. Um, Pokemon Arceus. And speaking of dangerous opinions, well, this is actually not dangerous. Emerald in B has triggered something primal in me. Not really. It's a personal favorite. I still put it around that tier. So I'm going to tell you right now, part of the reason why Emerald is in the B tier is because if you'll notice, nothing before the special split made it into the A tier. The physical special split is the best thing they did in Pokemon, and it doesn't happen until Generation 4, and that's when I think these games started getting actually good. Pokemon Arceus, I think, is probably an S tier experience. I think that Pokemon Legends Arceus was such a breath of fresh air in terms of like giving a unique story, giving like a unique combat system, giving like it feels like a different game, and I'm glad that they did that. I hope that we continue to get Legends games because I think that they are such a nice break from the main continuity, but also I really hope that they never stop giving us main continuity games. I really do like traditional turn-based Pokemon games. I know that people will be like, "Oh, they're not changing anything up and like it's always the same game." I don't think it's always the same game. I think it's the same formula, and I think it's a formula that works. I think these games still fuck. Which, speaking of, here we're gonna bring up my other fucking hot take. I think Scarlet and Violet is an S tier Pokemon experience. You know, actually, we're gonna pause the music for this. I think Scarlet and Violet is an S tier Pokemon experience, and I think that people are just like I think that people held up on like the uh the the glitches or the technical issues that it had at launch, which honestly I ran into some lag issues early on, and that kind of got optimized out pretty early. I think the story of Scarlet and Violet is fantastic. I think that the fact that we get the 3 branching path stories, so we get to do the Team Star story. We get to do the Arvin story, which is still like one of the better told experiences in these games. And then we get the gym leagues. We get the gym challenge, and we get on top of the gym challenge, we get Nimona, who I don't care. Fight me. I fucking love Nimona. I think that she is such a sweetheart. She's just in love with battling. She is to you what Kaiba is to Yugi. I think that she's your girlfriend, and I think that she's interested in you because you're really good at battling. Um, I think that the Pokemon they added in Gen 9, I really like. I think a lot of the mechanical choices they made, I really like. I love the changes they made to Snow. As I'm biased as an Ice type gym leader, I think that the mechanics in Gen 9 fuck. And honestly, I think that the post games fuck. I think that the DLC stories were great. I think that Teal Mask made me so endeared to the DLCs made me so enamored with Ogerpon because of the story it told. And honestly, the rise and fall and rise again of Kieran as like a rival, I think was really well done. So yeah, everyone can get bent. I think that Scarlet and Violet are S tier Pokemon games. Fight me. I didn't like the open world aspect. Listen, I can understand that. I think I really like the open world aspect because I think that being able to kind of spread out and like go to a slightly higher level area to like catch a Pokemon that I really want on my team that might not have been on the earlier routes. I think I really just enjoy having that flexibility for team building. Um, the amount of people who only disagree with you because the game ran like shit is surprising. I think there's also like a lot of people just want to dislike the new Pokemon games because for one, people do like to dislike Nintendo, and fair. Nintendo's a capitalist organization, and I get the dislike. I also think that I get why people are upset that like yeah we're getting DLC now, and no one likes DLC. I will say the DLC for Scarlet and Violet was really good, and I think that it gave especially the Indigo Disc gave so much bonus content, like so many more Pokemon to catch, so much more story. Like I spent so much time at the Blueberry Academy. I do think it's a pretty decent experience for what you're paying for. But I do get that some people just want to hate the new games. When I see people say that the new games don't have good stories anymore, I'm baffled because Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield are two of my favorite Pokemon storylines. And honestly, some of those earlier games do not really have storylines. They just kind of have story elements that you come across on your travels. That's my, once again, hot takes for Christmas. That's my gift to you, is my bad opinions. Um, okay. You also hate X and Y and a few older ones. So X and Y, I said it before, but X and Y is as low as it is because it could have been such a good experience, and they made it way too easy. The gyms are way too easy. None of them use Mega Evolution, which like Mega Evolution was such a cool mechanic, and almost all of the good Mega stuff is in the end game. In the post game, why are you saving all of your Megas for the post game? That's my issue with X and Y. I haven't finished a Pokemon game since Sun, so I can't say much. That and the new ones are not as deep in terms of how some of the abilities work. I would argue that's not the case. Pokemon fans when you like Pokemon or when you don't like Pokemon. Yeah, no. I mean, that's just fandoms, right? Like so many fandoms are so toxic, especially the fandoms where people either want to like them on either they want to act like they like them ironically, or they've moved on from them, but they hate that there are other people that are still excited about them. I think people just need to let other people be happy. So, regarding what you said about abilities, I don't know. I think that there are a ton of cool new abilities. I think that the way abilities work are super interesting. One thing I don't think a lot of people know is in Gen 8s and 9, I think mostly Gen 9, they added a bunch of buffs to abilities that weren't particularly good before. Like, inner focus used to be useless because it just prevents you from flinching. it now also makes you immune from things like Intimidate, which is really fucking big. Um, there's like a bunch of little like they've done that to a bunch of stuff. Honestly, I think Scrappy got a buff like that too. Um, and then like there are also like hidden buffs, like the fact that dark types uh, are immune to prankster moves. The fact that grass types are immune to powder moves. Like I think there's a lot of like there's a lot of nuance to the mechanics of Pokemon battling in Gen 9 that I honestly think it's one of the better battling experiences. It's the reason why I've spent so much time building up my Pokemon teams in Scarlet and Violet because I've really enjoyed just building new teams. Anyway, the last thing here is ZA, and I am torn. I think part of me wants to put ZA in A tier. I really enjoyed ZA. I had a really good time with ZA. In the story is pretty good. The characters are all wonderful. I love the characters in ZA. I think ultimately I'm content with putting it in A tier. I think that it is good here, and I don't think I need to put it higher. So I think this is what my tier list looks like here. Which there's no F tiers, and it's because part of me can't stand to put the first generation of Pokemon games in the F tier. I just can't. My heart won't let me do it. So I think that this is where we leave off. So yeah, S tier we have Pokemon Platinum, basically, essentially the first kind of borderline perfect Pokemon experience. We have Black and White 2, the definitive version of Gen 5, and so much better for it. Pokemon Arceus, the first Legends game, the first game to break the recipe in a really substantial way, and I think it's good. It's amazing. And then Scarlet and Violet, like I said, my favorite battling experience and one of my favorite story experiences. The first gen games are a good starting point for a series. Exactly. It is as a kid in the 90s, they were really good. It is I'm glad they existed. I could not imagine playing Pokemon Blue right now because it is a janky fucking mess that was not designed with any balance in mind. So yeah, I can't go back to those games. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. So yeah, A tier, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Oh god, is that? Do I think that Heart Gold and Soul Silver is an S tier experience? Hmm. I do. You know what? Heart Gold and Soul Silver got promoted to S tier. What can I say? I fucking love those games. This is my list. No one can stop me. No one can stop me, and I am undeterred by other people's opinions. Black and White really fucking good. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, if they worked a little bit more of like the mega stuff into the game, like it's still a very easy game because they give you so much for free, but like still good game. Sword and Shield almost as good as Scarlet and Violet in terms of the things I said before. If the snow mechanic was in Sword and Shield, it might be in the S tier. I'm not gonna pretend that my biases don't play in. And ZA, a really good Legends game. B tier is the two best versions of the Gen 3 games. It is Fire Red, Leaf Green, Emeralds, and then just C is Crystal because it's the best version of that generation. Alpha, Ruby and Sapphire because once again no physical special split and like yeah, it wasn't fully baked yet. Diamond Platinum, both Sun and Moon games, and then Brilliant and Shining because I just think that they could have been better. They could have been great, and they just fucked it up. And then once again, Yellow, the best version of Gen 1, the Gold and Silver, and X and Y because they disappointed me. So yeah, that's the list.